Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Next Goal Wins. We're bringing you another preview here for the 2015-16 European seasons. Today we're talking about Serie A, the Italian league, a league that in recent years has said to be lowered in quality as the teams such as Inter and AC Milan have faded and not been a force in Europe, and this season not even qualifying for Europe. But with Juventus getting to a Champions League final last year, it looks like Italian football could be on the rise again. Here's my prediction for this season. As is always the case, I've gone for Juventus winning the league. I can't look past Juventus winning the league. We've got too much quality. Players like Paul Pogba, Chiellini, Mario Mandzukic, who have just bought in. I think they'll win the league again comfortably, as I've represented from my table. Getting to the Champions League final was good for Juventus last year. It's put Italian football back on the map, and it's not just helped them, but it's helped Italian football in full. Just below them, I've gone for Lazio, who had a good season this season, having the best run of any team during the campaign. They finished third eventually, just 1 point behind Roma, and I think they'll go one better this year and challenge Juventus for a title. If they can hold on to players like Felipe Anderson, the young Brazilian who won Player of the Season last season in Serie A, I think it will be a good season for Lazio. Champions League football could hinder them if they manage to get through the playoff round, but I think they'll do well in the Champions League and also challenge Juventus for a title. Below them, filling out the Champions League places, I've got a return to European football for Internazionale Milan. Inter have bought big this window so far, already bringing in Kondogbia for 22 million, and it looks like there could be a lot of players still on the way. Mauro Icardi, the top goalscorer in the league last season, looks like he could be staying despite early interest from Chelsea. And I've got them just edging out Roma and Napoli for Champions League places. Roma, obviously, we all know in recent years have been the closest challengers to Juventus, but with Francesco Totti coming to the end of his contract, the influential man and Roma legend, I don't see anyone really carrying the baton forward for them. They've got really good young players like Florenzi, but I can't see Roma pushing for the title this season. I think they'll just be too weak. Napoli obviously lost Rafael Benitez to Real Madrid this summer and still possess brilliant quality players like Gonzalo Higuain and Marek Hamsik, who finished with the most assists last season. But with Europa League football again, I can't see them going any higher than the 5th they finished last season. Just below them, I've got AC Milan moving up from a 10th place finish last season up to 6th place. It looks like it could be a big investment from both Milan clubs this summer, with AC Milan already having a bid accepted for Jackson Martinez, but it looks like Martinez could be going elsewhere. I can see Milan pushing back up into the Europa League places. In 7th, I've got Fiorentina, followed by Torino and Hellas Verona. I think all these teams will finish close to each other, but Verona really depends on the goals from Luca Toni, who finished as top goalscorer, joint with Icardi last season in Serie A. For Torino and Fiorentina, they both possess brilliant defences, Torino being led by Man Mountain and captain Kamil Glik, who's had a brilliant season on both club level and international level with Poland. For Fiorentina, it's a new season with a new manager at the helm, and with Europa League again for them, a competition they thrived in last season, I can see them slipping slowly down the table. This is purely down to the progression of the Milan teams. In the mid-table, I've got Sampdoria, Genoa, Palermo, Sassuolo and Empoli, all finishing mid-table on around the same points. It's hard to distinguish some of these teams. Palermo, probably the biggest, will be losing Pablo Dybala to Juventus. But with Sassuolo, if they can keep Domenico Berardi, the newcomer of the year last season, then it could be an interesting season for them and they could finish higher than the 13th I predicted. Genoa had a brilliant season last season, eventually finishing in 6th place, but I can't see him keeping it up this season and see him slipping down the table. Empoli won a lot of plaudits last season with Maurizio Sarri at the helm, but as he's departed to go to Napoli to replace Rafa Benitez, I can't see Empoli pushing any higher than the 15th, 14th they did last season, which for them would be another good season as it's consolidation in Serie A. Udinese and Chievo follow them. Udinese obviously a bigger team in Italy, but with players like Di Natale coming to the end of his career, they had a very poor season last season, only just surviving in 16th place. I see him finishing a bit higher this season in 15th, but again I think it'll be a struggle for them. Chievo on the other hand survived last season quite comfortably in 14th place. This season I can see him struggling slightly more and being closer to the relegation zones. In Europe, the only newly promoted club I've got staying up, and I think that'll be at the hands of Atalanta. Atalanta only just survived last season, finishing 3 points ahead of Cagliari, despite Cagliari winning more games. It was Atlanta's 16 draws that had a detrimental effect in their season, but I can't see them doing any better this year and see them going down. with Frosinone and Carpi, the two newly promoted teams. I can see these two teams getting cut adrift as they're both small teams with a low budget. It'll be another interesting season in Serie A, and it'll be good to see what happens with a lot of these players. Players like Paul Pogba, it will be good to see if he can progress as a player. People like Felipe Anderson to see if he was just a one-season wonder. Raja Nainggolan, who had a great season at Roma last season. All of these will be interesting storylines in a new season. Thank you for joining me on another video here on Next Goal Wins, where we talked about the Serie A season preview. We're going to be doing another season preview tomorrow, but it's going to be for La Liga, or Liga BBVA in Spain. I guess you can already tell who my top two are going to be. Comment, like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.